Manning, Earnhardt, Bryant, plenty of major pro sports are famous for their major family dynasties, but not tennis. Of all the men and women competing at this year's Wimbledon, only one is ranked inside the top 100 who has a former pro parent. Joining me now from Wimbledon, England is WSJ contributor Tom Perrotta, who is covering the tournament for us. Tom, don't keep us in suspense any longer. Who is this gentleman?
Yes, he's not a gentleman that anyone would really know. His rank is his career high rank is 65 in the world. He lost in the first round here, but as you say, he's a rare player. He's the only player playing today on the men's or women's tour who had a father who was also or mother in the top 100 of the ranking. So it's a very rare thing in tennis.
All right, vital statistics. We need his name, we need his age, and tell us a little bit about how he got to where he is.
His name is Edouard Roger Vasselin. He's French. His father was a semifinalist at the French Open one year, and he started playing as a kid. His parents were divorced, so he didn't really start working out with his dad until he was about 16. Dad never really pushed him into tennis, which you find is very common. That's the theme among tennis players who have been pros, is they don't really push their kids to play the game because they know how hard it is and how mentally taxing it is.
You've been talking to a lot of sort of famous tennis pros about how they feel about their children going into tennis. Tell us a little bit about what they're telling you.
The main thing is that tennis really beats you up when you're a junior player. It's a very hard road. You have to play a lot. It goes on for 11 months, a year on the pro tour, and on the junior tour it's sort of the same way. And the chances of making it are very small, and the chances of making money are very small. There's only fewer than 100 people on either side of the tour who make more than $500,000 in a year, and they have to pay their own expenses, which isn't the case in team sports.
Roger Federer told you that he was happy. His daughters have already picked up rackets, but he told you he was happy he has girls and not boys. Why was that?
I think his feeling is that with boys, people are going to say, well, you're never going to be as good as your dad. And it'll just be an enormous burden for them to live up to. And he feels like, well, at least it's a little bit easier. But I don't think he's going to be pushing his daughters to play either. I think if they play, they play. But I don't imagine that he'll say, this is the life I want for them.
Is tennis becoming it's even harder for people to make it big now, Tom? And is sort of the mind scramble of that and of staying competitive for so long, is that sort of why these parent pros think, maybe I don't want my kid going into this?
It's getting harder every year, I think largely because the sport has taken root in a lot of countries all over the world. It's pretty much everywhere now. You'll notice that there aren't many teenage prodigies and champions anymore. You're having to wait until your mid-20s or so to win. And while you're doing that, you're toiling around and not making a lot of money, chancing injury, in which case you don't get paid. And it's a one-on-one sport that is really brutal. You're playing against an opponent all the time. It can be very mentally taxing, and it's a tough life.
Yeah, speaking of injury, Tom, you got to do something about all these players getting hurt there at Wimbledon. What's going on?
A lot of people falling down yesterday at Wimbledon on the grass. Yeah, people were saying the lawns are a little bit more slick here. I'm not really sure if that's the case. Grass is always slippery, but some upsets.
Yeah.
Things have settled down a bit today, but I think we'll still get some of the big names in the final weekend.
All right, you're our guy at Wimbledon. We'll be coming to you throughout the tournament. Thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.